Revenue Authority in Banjul says tax payment mechanism must be met by SEMLEX. Kenya is experiencing the worst pest infestation on its agricultural sector in 70 years. 2 people have died at the French restaurant in the Gambia as a result of sewage management issues. These and more stories coming on The World Today. Hello, it is 1700 GMT here in our studios in Banjul. You're watching The World Today on Africa TV. I am Amadou Kante and the news in detail. President Adama Barrow reaffirms his government's commitment in supporting and strengthening the University of the Gambia, which he described as the country's beacon of hope. He was responding to concerns raised by the chairman of the university's governing council, who lamented the numerous challenges the university is encountering. He made these remarks while presiding over the 12th convocation of over 800 graduates from the University of the Gambia over the weekend. Jultin Jai has more details of that in this report.
Chairman of the University of the Gambia Governing Council said even though they have embarked on a series of activities to tackle the challenges of the university, many other challenges still remain, including inadequate classrooms and space for offices, which continue to hamper the development of the institution. Addressing the 2019 graduates during the university's 12th convocation over the weekend, Matthew Ndur said the challenges have forced the Governing Council to resort to taking extreme measures to surrender to the needs of the institution.
We have resorted to extreme measures like renting, which inevitably multiplies the adverse effects of operating from many locations. The other option is to succumb to the pressure of the urgency of these needs and divert limited resources to build structures that would become redundant in the very near future when the Farabas site is inaugurated. Mr. Chancellor, a good legislative framework is of utmost importance in the quality assurance package of a university.
Mr. Ndur pleaded with the Ministry of Justice and the National Assembly to finalize the passage of the regulation built during the current year, saying a good legislative framework is of utmost importance in the quality assurance package of the university.
We take very seriously the need for UTG's full compliance with NACA prescriptions and standards, and Council has set up a framework for monitoring and ensuring compliance on a regular basis. As the premier institution of learning in the country, the UTG cannot but be the standard bearer of high quality in its delivery systems and products.
In response, President Adama Barrow said the government is committed to supporting and strengthening the UTG in order to enhance their contribution towards establishing a viable and flourishing nation that is built on new models of democracy and good governance.
We will continue to support and strengthen the UTG, as well as other institutions of learning in the areas of research, teaching, and community service. Our fervent wish is that the core activities of the university include due focus on research, data collection and exchange of information and data on all aspects of human endeavor. Particularly relevant for our democracy are human rights and rights issues.
The president said the need is urgent for policymakers to engage academics and benefit from their practice and knowledge to ensure that they entrench their expertise in the policy formulation processes and implementation for optimum performance and results. He said for this reason, academic freedom and the independence of the university will be safeguarded to enhance research and unbiased learning and teaching processes, which are central to the mandate of all institutions of higher learning. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Jai.
From that report on the weekend's university graduation, we'll now head to Zimbabwe, where prisoners in Zimbabwe's open prison are more of innovators than inmates. Some of them are being trained with life-changing skills whilst in prison. There is not much noticeable difference between inmates and prison guards, as they both build very close relationships. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Inmates Simon Chimbudzi and Netsai Shua are walking out of prison. But this isn't a jailbreak. They are going to work in the vegetable gardens that feed the prison. A fellow inmate is doing a client's hair while others carve wooden artifacts. Just another day at Zimbabwe's one-of-a-kind correctional facility,
where the guard towers aren't manned, and this security fence is more to demarcate the compound's perimeter than to keep anyone from trying to escape.
Connemara is an open prison. There are no regimented schedules and no uniforms for both guards and inmates.
We want to try and humanize the inmates so that you cannot see the difference, but the difference is there. I am the boss and he is a serving inmate, but our relationship is just signed. We normally use the terms mbuya, sekuru mzukuru, so that the aunt, cousin, nephew and all those things. So just to show that there's no the word prisoner, there is no any other word that you can use except to say my aunt, my uncle.
Inmates also get to go home on some weekends and holidays.
Last Christmas, I was in my rural village and slaughtered a beast for my family. Home visits have helped me to start putting my affairs in order before I am released.
Chimbudzi has 14 months left on a 12-year sentence. Leaving a few months after him will be Rizen Mare, who spent his time at Connemara studying leather technology at a nearby technical college.
So this is part of rehabilitation that we are doing, preparing myself to suit well in the community when I get back after serving my sentence. So I think I'm going to start my own business. There's no need for me to look for employment anywhere else.
If his plans work out, he'll add to the growing success stories of a correctional system that's set to be extended to women whose own open prison is due to be built near the capital soon.
From that report there in Zimbabwe, we come back home. Now, in a developing story, 2 Gambian youth have died in the process of rendering sewage service at a French restaurant in Pipeline along the Kairava Avenue on Friday. They were reported to have drawn into the sockway filled with capacity at the La Parisienne restaurant slightly opposite the American Embassy. Eyewitnesses say the 2 boys slipped through the tile floor and fell into the hole in the process of their work. The fire and rescue services rushed them to the Sarhab Medical Clinic, where they were pronounced dead. iAfrica is keeping in touch with the police and rescue services to establish the cause of the incident. More news on the circumstances to the deaths of the 2 boys will feature in our in our subsequent news bulletin. Now, from that unfortunate development, we head to Egypt, where a political science professor and business companies in Egypt have joined effort to show solidarity with China in the fight against novel coronavirus. Proceeds from their businesses are used to buy materials as donations to China, considering the Asian country's connection with the North African country. Details of that in this report.
Nadia Helmi is a university professor and author who is specialized in Chinese affairs. This week, she has donated the proceeds of her latest book to China. Helmi is also leading efforts in Egypt to gather donations to China after the outbreak of the coronavirus.
I found that 90% of our businessmen work with China or import Chinese products. I asked Chinese officials how we can donate to China. They sent me account numbers in China that accept donations, and I sent these account numbers to many businessmen.
A bank account has been opened in China to receive the donations. Helmi is creating awareness about this account.
Many have been enthusiastic to the idea and saw that it's in our ethics and Islamic traditions to support others and show solidarity with our friends. China has always provided a lot of services to Egypt, and there are huge Chinese investments in Cairo, the Suez Canal, and the Chinese industrial city of Tida, which houses more than 1,500 Chinese factories.
The business community, with its financial means, have taken to the idea.
It makes sense. I believe we're all supporting, and we hope that they will overcome it. Especially, China is very well connected with all other countries. Whatever is happening there, the world is becoming small. It will spread all over. So if this is supported over there, it might contain this virus, and it will help China to overcome it. And I have full confidence that China will overcome this very soon.
It's a very good initiative. Besides the money being collected, just the fact that personnel are behind the case or the cause, this on its own gives credibility.
The donations for China are slowly picking up pace in the North African country.
Some great initiatives there by Egyptians to help China in the fight of the coronavirus. Well, with that, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching The World Today on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority has said there will always be a way out in the authority current situation with Semlek, whose office was shut down for tax evasion. During a press conference this afternoon, Yankuba Dabo said Semlek have to either pay everything in full and come up with a payment plan. Semlek is constructed by government for the production of national documents. Let's listen to that.
Not the first time GR is involved in this kind of operation. But all that we know, that as a responsible company, Semlek will not sit down and fold their hands and wait until a week or 2 weeks. No. The action has happened today. This morning we went to the National Assembly to do a presentation of our financial statements and activity report. And while we were there, they are prepared to come and negotiate with us. So it's not going to take long. You may think it's going to take, no, not at all. It's not going to take long time. Even as we speak, I told you, there is a group over there, that is waiting. As soon as we leave here, we are going to talk to them. So there will be a possibilities of way out. Way out is they either have to pay everything in full or they will come up with a payment plan. That's it, period.
Hundreds of applicants of the national documents found the Semlek headquarters in Kanifing shot in presence of Revenue Enforcement Police in the area on Monday morning. The new government initially cancelled the controversial contract by the Jami administration that offered Belgium-based company to issue biometric identification and border control system. The 5-year agreement grants Semlek a 70% share of the profit, a move highly criticized by civil society organizations. As of January this year, over $155 million has been generated from the issuance of national identification cards, biometric passports, according to the Gambia Immigration Department. And from that development, next we head to matters of the African Union, because African leaders have renewed commitment to build lasting peace and transformation of Africa with the view of silencing the gun in the continent. During the African Union's 33rd summit in Addis Ababa, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa replaces outgoing AU chairperson Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt. President Ramaphosa says close ties among states will guarantee a safe continent. Details of that in this report.
The opening session of the 33rd African Union Summit has been attended by presidents, prime ministers and thousands of other participants. This year the theme is silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development. In his address to the Assembly, the outgoing chair of the Union, also President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, said, for a lasting peace, regional integration and free movement of people must be a reality soon.
For us, achieving the integration of the continent cannot be efficient if we do not promote the infrastructure of Africa. Linking the different regions of the continent is unavoidable. In order for us to reach regional integration, we need to make sure that free movement of people and of commodities and services be facilitated.
In this opening event of the 2020 African Union Heads of State Summit, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has taken over from his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. On his maiden speech as chair of the Union, Ramaphosa said deepening cooperation among African states will guarantee continental unity.
We would like to deepen our work together in ensuring that the unity of our continent is solid and is based on the founding principles that our forebears crafted, and advancing the economic growth and sustainable development that our continent needs.
The 33rd African Union Summit is expected to come up with decisions aimed at strengthening the implementation of silencing the guns as soon as possible. The summit wraps on Monday.
From the report there, of course, from the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa, next we head to Kenya. Now, Kenya has become the hardest hit country by locust invasion on its agricultural sector. It is the worst locust infestation in 70 years. Local farmers have raised concerns over the level of destruction done by the insects. Officials say the destruction is moving fast to different parts of the country. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Using sticks, screaming, and clapping, residents of Gatunga in eastern Kenya attempt to scare away desert locusts from their farmlands, an exercise in futility.
Nothing is left except some leaves.
It's the worst locust invasion in 70 years. The insects entered Kenya from Somalia and Ethiopia last December and have now spread to 15 counties in north, eastern and central Kenya. Drone aerial footage shows the destruction caused by the locusts on crops and vegetation here in Gatunga, Tharaka Nithi County. Experts say in a single day, the insects can eat its weight in food and travel close to 100 miles. A local administrator says the entire county has been affected.
It is about 266 square kilometers. I think it is the biggest location in Kenya.
And their troubles are far from over. A closer look reveals the locusts are mating. Millions have already started laying eggs, meaning, under the right conditions, another generation of breeding will increase their numbers. The United Nations says It requires about $70 million to tackle the locust plague in East Africa.
I hope we can get some money, some resource at this critical time. Before March, it's a very critical time.
The Kenyan government has deployed 9 aircraft to spray chemicals in affected areas. But swarms of locusts, sometimes in their tens of millions, are wreaking havoc over huge swaths of land before the aircraft can arrive. And until that intervention arrives here in Tharaka Nithi, screaming and shouting is the only recourse for these farmers, without much success.
Difficult and, of course, challenging times there for the farmers in Kenya. But, of course, for more on those stories and many others, you can look on our stories on our website on iafrica.tv. Once again, I am Amadou Kante, and bye for now.
Founder and owner of Her Apparel, a mother's clothing brand. Top Startup has been one of the best in the